because of the high water. So people are taking it in stride here in New England. Storms like this are not uncommon, although we haven't had a coastal storm this strong in quite some time.
That was Doug Cope up there along the coastal areas in southeast Massachusetts. Joining me now in the Forecast Center, Stu Ostro. And Stu, what's the current situation with this storm? And as we look at this particular picture, how did the Hurricane Grace kind of factor in here?
Well, don't be intimidated by this monstrosity here. This is what we call the water vapor loop. Shows just that, the amount of moisture in the air. When we put it into motion, we can see the evolution of weather systems. At the beginning of the loop here, right there, that's Hurricane Grace. However, you then see this energy swing down around, absorb Grace into its circulation. And I think what Grace did was inject a little bit of moisture and energy into it, also provide sort of a target for this energy to swoop down in and capture the whole thing. And we now have a quite significant storm in its own right.
From October 28 to November 2nd in 1991, there was a treacherous storm that left its impact on parts of the eastern coast of North America. One of the most memorable of these locations is Gloucester, Massachusetts. Gloucester is a city that is older than America itself. This historical city has dubbed the name America's oldest seaport for the strong fishing industry that has defined the city and led it to flourish. The same fishing industry took a big toll after the perfect storm took the city victim. The no-name storm, the Halloween storm, the perfect storm, was a burden that went by many names. Despite only being classified as a Category 1 hurricane, this storm caused a total of 13 fatalities and $200 million in damage. This was caused by 75-mile-per-hour winds and 80 to 100-foot waves.
Robert F. Bobby Shafford's body had taken a huge toll from all of the work that he had done throughout the years. He went out on this trip knowing he had the chance to return with $5,000 in his pocket or no return at all. He is played by Mark Wahlberg in the movie adaptation of the story. At the age of 37, Frank William Tyne Jr. was the captain of the Andrea Gale during its last venture out at sea. Michael Bugsy Moran was from Florida and came all the way up to Gloucester to work on the Andrea Gale. On page 7 of the book, Younger writes, "He's got wild long hair and a crazy reputation. Everyone in town loves him." Dale R. Murph Murphy was also from Florida. He has been described as a big grizzly bear of a guy with shaggy black hair, a thin beard, and angled, almost Mongolian eyes. At the time, he had a 3-year-old baby. In the movie, he was played by John C. Reilly. Alfred Pierre was originally from Jamaica. Pierre was conflicted on whether or not he wanted to make the trip, but ultimately decided to go. David Sully Sullivan was 28 and had the reputation of being a good, funny crewman with a loud laugh. David once saved the crew of a different boat, the Harmony, when it started to take in water one night. Alright, we're here with Marianne Shafford, who was the sister of Bobby Shafford, who was a crew member that was lost on the Andrea Gale.
Hi.
And we're going to ask you some questions. Alright, first question is, how has the community changed since the perfect storm?
Well, it's changed in quite a few ways. First of all, I feel like a lot of people have a better understanding of fishing and the industry and just how dangerous of a job it is. And another way it's changed, unfortunately, is that the fishing industry is not what it used to be. There are lots of limits on what fish you can catch and how many times a year you can go out and catch them. And so the fishing industry is really pretty much falling apart. There's not much left to it anymore, so people are really struggling.
What was the atmosphere like in the crow's nest during the days of the storm?
Well, it was pretty dismal. My mother was the bartender at the crow's nest, and someone came in and said to her, "Oh, they're looking for the Andrea Gale." And she said, "No, my son Bobby's on the Andrea Gale. They're in Canada." We thought that they were in Canada. We didn't realize that they would try to come back. So it was just like people sitting around, supporting each other, talking with each other, and just waiting. It was a 2 weeks that they searched. So it was just a stressful time. But at the beginning, we really didn't believe it, so we had a lot of hope for a while. For probably the first week, we had a lot of hope, and then it started, becoming pretty hopeless.
What was your opinion of the movie? Are there any controversial scenes or moments that you believe happened differently in real life?
Okay, so I thought that the book was really good,
Yeah.
and that the movie was pretty much, you know, Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, the people were so nice. I mean, and they meant well, and they were making a movie, so they had to change things to make sure that, you know, people wanted to watch it, make a Hollywood. David Sullivan, his character was really portrayed poorly. He was a very nice guy, and everyone loved him, and they had him fighting and with his crewmate, and so things like that we really didn't, you know, care for in the movie, but they, you know, it did what it should have done. It made people really aware of the fishing industry and how important it is and what a dangerous job it is. So.
How about the book? Were there any moments that you believe happened differently in real life than the book?
Let's see, the book. It was really strange reading the book. I remember the first time my mother and I were reading it together before it came out. We'd call each other up. Oh my gosh, can you believe what it says on page 10? Or can you believe what it says on? So a lot of some of it, you know, there were personal things in there about my brother, especially the opening of the story, how he's in the crow's nest in a room upstairs at the crow's nest. But so it took a little bit because we were embarrassed by some of it. We're like, oh, the drinking and the, you know, this and the that. So, but, you know, as a whole, we liked it. We really liked Sebastian Younger. We think he did a great job, and he did a lot of research, knew his stuff. But what do we know? We just know they went out, there was a storm. We do know the ice machine was broken. We don't know if that's why they came in. So, so I don't know. We just...
Would you say that your brother was accurately portrayed in the movie?
Not really.
No.
Because they had my brother Bobby was, you know, always buddying up to the captain, and I don't know, Bobby was very quiet and shy. He was quiet and shy and just stayed to himself and mind his own business. So I think Mark Wahlberg played him a little more outgoing than he was. So, but I didn't mind the way his portrayal at all. So.
Yeah. Lastly, how has this experience changed your view of the fishing industry?
Well, it scares. I mean, I'm glad that I don't have any family fishing anymore, because after this happens, you know, that's all you do is you worry that, you know, are they going to come back in again? Before that, it was one of those things that happened to other people but didn't happen to yourself. So before, when my brother Ricky fished, my brother Bobby, and, you know, they were fishing, they came back every time. So, you know, after they didn't come back, it was like my brother Ricky was still fishing off of Hawaii. You know, it really, it scares you, it makes you worry. So I'm very glad that I don't have any family members fishing anymore.
This concludes our interview with Marion Shafford. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hollywood's take on the community was disrespectful. By showing Gloucester as a town that's severely poor, the whole ideology of Gloucester was changed. Gloucester is a beautiful place, and that is not expressed enough in the movie. The book, The Perfect Storm, did a good job of recapping the story and adding things that no one knew actually happened. The movie made everything too Hollywood, which didn't portray an accurate story. There are countless amounts of people that have never been to Gloucester and might never come. The only interpretation these people will have of the city is either through the book or the movie. A person doesn't truly know a place until they've been there and lived in the environment. The polis of Gloucester is affected because many people don't know what the true polis of Gloucester is, and will make assumptions based on what they've seen in a Hollywood movie, where it is depicted inaccurately as extremely poor and run down. The poor portrayal is also seen through the actors that were cast for the movie. Actors like this.
You get the ice, I'll get the ice, man.
Yo, it's about that time to break forth the rhythm and the rhyme. When you oppress people, they rise up in a fiery anger.
Can't accurately represent the great stories and morals of these men.